What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Tynes.
What's up? What's up?
And Daniel Acevedo.
How's it going, guys?
What's going on? So, welcome back to the podcast. Again, Monday and Tuesday are topics, Wednesday discussion. Thursdays, Ask a CISSP. I had a really good one with Matthew Hale, so definitely tune in for that one. We talk about his website, We Gonna Learn Today. So it's wegonalearntoday.org, and just all of the things he's doing with the world's largest Black History site, right? Interactive activities. He's doing a lot with expanding it with language. He's got a cool music video I put in at the end of the episode. So check out all that good stuff. The guy is super smart and very passionate about sharing Black history. So without further ado, I give it to Shannon.
All right, everybody. So this article comes from theregister.com, written by Connor Jones. And the title of this one is U.S. News Org Still Struggling to Print Papers a Week After Cybersecurity Event. So at first, when I read this, without going through and looking at the article, I was like, well, it's about printing papers, right? Like, who cares about printing papers? But as you read more about it, right? So they're talking about, this is publications across 25 states that are having issues with not just producing print papers, but it actually comes to their e-media as well, right? So their electronic stuff, they're having issues with that as well because of a cyber event that they haven't gone into too much detail on what has actually happened. It's very, they call it a nondescript cybersecurity event, right? Saying it could take weeks or longer to complete their investigation and get back to full capacity, right? So this is a problem because of the world we live in today, right? Even if you don't do print media, which I thought was one of those things where it's like, okay, we're to a point now where that's not something that's really needed. We can save some of these trees. Not like I'm Matt Green or anything like that, right? But there's only like a certain generation that's really still reading newspapers, right? Like they got to have that print in hand, right? Almost everything else can be done electronically. That generation of people is getting smaller and smaller as time goes on, right? But if you can't get your electronic media out there for people to read, that's also going to be a problem, right? Because that's how the majority of people in this day and age are consuming. I shouldn't say consuming their news, right? But because I guess X and Facebook and all that is where people get their news from as well, right? Still electronic media, right? But from a news organization. So they're just having issues getting this stuff out, right? So it's to a point now where they're trying to give people like back orders, you know what I mean, of what they may have missed when they were going through this cyber event. But even then, they're minimizing, what they were giving people. So something that may be a 3-pager is a 2-pager now, right? Or 3-section is now a 2-section, right? So at that point, I wonder if people are going to start complaining and being like, hey, my subscription, I paid this much. Are you going to give me 33% of my money back? You know what I mean? I paid for, all of that you can give me. You're not giving me all of it, right? You shortened it. You've lessened it a little bit, but this is a little concerning for me, right? Because for me, as a purveyor of, despite what you may call it, I'm going to call it mainstream media, right? I look at some of these smaller publications as well, right? One of the ones they mentioned in here was a Buffalo newspaper there, Ryan. I saw that. I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah,
I wonder if the family's not getting that local news is going on, right? Because I read some of the stuff here from specifically for Colorado Springs, where I'm at. You know what I mean? This is a problem. You need to know what's going on in the world, and you can't necessarily let the only place you get your news from be social media, right? Be your X's, your LinkedIn's, your Meta, different forms of Meta, right? Because they got all types of different ways to pass it on. But yeah, this is very concerning, and I hope they get back up on their feet sooner than later. But Daniel, what's your thoughts on this thing?
When you started this one and you said, oh, what's the big deal? I was like, I feel like most people, when they see this headline, that's maybe their first reaction because print media, But when I started reading the article, it's kind of really alarming. It just goes to show you how far-reaching a cyber incident is. Because, this industry really isn't attacked that much, or we don't really get a lot of stories for like newspaper articles or publishing houses and things like that. And I have to admit, I was a little bit unaware of Lee corporations, but they're actually pretty big. They've got a lot of mass media throughout the U.S. So to see someone this big get attacked kind of like is a little shocking. Maybe to humanize the story a little bit and to paint a picture, right? So let's say you want to do something like, content creation, or you want to run a a restaurant that does delivery service and things like that. And let's say you get enough fire and you start catching steam and you start blowing up. If you get hit with an incident like this, where they're not really disclosing what it is at this point, but it doesn't matter, that halts your production or your service to an extent like this, that could be game over for you as a small business. So it really goes to show things like this. You take this to the business room. Like if you're a cyber leader or you're your company's cyber person, showing how a couple things happening here. One is operation impact, right? Stopping the operation. And then also the public view and how it kind of changes the way people look at your company, right? Hey, they can't get this under wraps. They're not giving me the services that I'm asking for. Are they really taking care of their stuff in-house? It has a very long trickle effect into your organization. So for all my cyber people out there, if you're the cyber person in your business, take stories like this to them and show them how, if you need funding, personnel, tools, and things like that, this is the outcome of not having the things in place where you can be never going to be 100% secure, but at least as secure as possible for all scenarios, in a certain spectrum. I think that's all I had here. My best guess for the type of attack, they're not really saying what it is. And because of the industry that it's targeting, I'm almost wondering if this is like a young group that's just kind of like starting to hack. And for some reason, they chose this out of everything. Because I can't imagine ransomware. But I'm thinking maybe somebody just got in there and did some crazy stuff and messed up their operations. And now they're kind of like in cleanup mode, trying to like untangle the web.
I think it's somebody that just doesn't want people to be educated. You know what I mean? Like somebody is like, we don't need you to know what's really going on out there. Just believe what you're seeing on X and your your meta feeds and all those different things. That's what I think. I think it is somebody that has a vested interest in this and how people are seen. I'm not saying like a government or anything like that. I'm not saying that, but that's
what my conspiracy theory
no,
hat to you.
No,
get you a hoodie over there. What do you think, Ryan?
Yeah, and me brainstorming as well, I thought it was politically motivated, right? Like somebody's not liking these publications and they're like, okay, I'll shut it down, or at least I'll disrupt for a while. But I think you brought up a couple of really good points. Like all your points are good, but a couple that really piqued my interest in the business impact, right? So as a consultant or as an assessor, I put that hat on and I think about it. Hopefully they sat there and they did a business impact assessment where they were like, okay, what happens if we're down for an hour, a day, a week, a month? Like, how will this affect us? Because a lot of their revenue is probably through ads. So if they can't push out the publication, they can't invoice these marketers. They can't say, well, our publication didn't go out, but we still want that money. No, it didn't make it in people's hands, right? Then they get the ads or the coupons or whatever comes in the physical publication. So they lost a lot of potential revenue in that regard, or they have to refund money and things of that nature. So there's always these second and third order effects when your operations are down for an extended period of time, that hopefully somebody sat there and did the analysis beforehand to figure out what are alternatives, right? Like how quickly do we need to bounce back in order to not bleed on the revenue side of the house? And if so, then like we lost this money. How do we recover from there, right? And that's a different conversation. Like the two of them are intertwined, but I'm only on the cybersecurity part, right? Like you got a CEO or somebody in the C-suite who's thinking about the hemorrhage of this cash flow and its impact on the overall business, right? Like what have they lost? Again, like you said, Shannon, they went from 3 sections to 2 sections. So in losing that, they're also going to lose reputation points and things of that nature. People are going to unsubscribe. But
yeah.
But to your point, I think you're hitting it. You're thinking it's just going to be a business. I think that's still going to hit into the cybersecurity realm, because when they start losing revenue, historically, where have they made the cuts? It's IT and cybersecurity, right? So if they do have that department,
I just think that those two do intertwine. But I'm only on half of that conversation. Like I do care about the business impact. I'm talking to the, in this case, I'll be talking to them about like how long can you sustain X, Y, and Z. But I think there is another conversation at the top is like you said, like what do we need to now reduce, change, or what other sources of revenue can we break open? Like how's this going to affect our I almost say constituents, it's not political, our shareholders,
The shareholders,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, it was the same thing if you think about it. So yeah, I think that they're having some really tough talks, but yeah, I think it's politically motivated. I think in this case, like this is like maybe it was ransomware and they tried to shut them down or whatever. I just don't think you're getting that much money out of these people. Like they probably do make a pretty
No,
good amount of money, but
they
not
do.
as much
All right,
as
Daniel.
the
Daniel,
juice not worth the
send us both
squeeze.
send us.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I was like 180. You hear that, listeners? I got them all conspiracy theorists. Tinfoil hats for everybody.
Right, but I think they were like, yeah, shut these people down, whatever the Post Star and the Buffalo News and X, Y, and Z. But you're only in this case hurting like a certain demographic of people who need it in their hand. Most people could just log on online and read it anyway. But I'm sure there's different revenue streams, right? Somebody's paying for ad space on the physical publication that's not necessarily paying for uh, the ad space on the website. So like a lot to be had there. That's why you really have to sit down with your if you're a consultant or you're a VCISO or a CISO or a ISM, all the above. You really got to sit down and like crush these numbers when you're doing your business impact analysis to build out your third party risk third party vendor risk management, your risk management policy X, Y, and Z. Because I mean, it's all about money at the end of the day. Like cybersecurity is there to protect the investment. So like the people, but the investment. Because like if you really think about it, like what's your major fear of leaking PII? It's not necessarily the the people's information because they're going to get their stuff stolen. They're going to have an impact or whatever. It's the repercussions of them coming back after you because you leaked it. It's the comeback. So it's all about the business. But definitely continue to tune in throughout the week. Again, Monday and Tuesday are topics. Wednesday discussion. Thursdays Ask CISSP. Definitely check out the one with Matthew Hale that just happened. I have another one coming up. That's finally out of the editing room floor. And then Fridays everything else. Movies, books, games, like cool stuff. Hit us up by the websites to go by our name, the other side of the firewall, the other side of the FW, or ask a CISSP. Hit me up personally. I'm at RyRy Security Guy. That's RYRY Security Guy. You can find me pretty much everywhere, but LinkedIn is where I'm most responsive. And where can they find you, Daniel?
LinkedIn under my name, Daniel Acevedo.
There it is. Stay safe. Stay secure.